My name is Daniel, and if you'd told me when I was 12 years old that one day I'd be sitting in the head office of a police station while the boy who tormented me in school wore the same uniform but answered to me, well, I'd have laughed in your face. But life has a funny way of letting you settle old scores, sometimes without lifting a single fist. It all began when we were kids. School wasn't a sanctuary for me. It was a battlefield. I wasn't the strongest, the fastest, or the coolest. I was the skinny boy with glasses who loved books and answered questions in class. That alone was enough to paint a target on my back. And the biggest hunter of all? Rick Stanton. Everyone called him Rick. He was tall for his age, broad-shouldered, with that smug grin that made teachers fawn over him. But behind that charm, he was venom. And he had a gang of little shadows, 2 other boys who laughed at every insult he threw my way. One day in 7th grade, he caught me at the lockers. Hey, Four Eyes, what's in the bag today? More comic books? It's math homework. Oh, perfect. Maybe you can do mine too. He grabbed my notebook and tore out the first few pages, crumpling them in his fist before tossing them into the trash. His goons, Kenny and Mark, laughed like hyenas. Look, Danny Boy's gonna cry again. I clenched my fists, but what could I do? 3 against 1. You'll regret this one day, Rick. What, when you become a librarian? He shoved me into the lockers. Yeah, right. That became my life. Tripped in the hallway. Books stolen. Rumors spread that I peed my pants in gym class. Once, Rick even locked me in the janitor's closet until the custodian found me 2 hours later. Rick didn't bully me loudly every day. Some days, he preferred to be clever. The first time was my bike. I came out after school, backpack heavy, legs tired, already dreaming of getting home. The bike rack was half empty. My stomach tightened. My bike was gone. I stood there staring, hoping my eyes were wrong. It was old, scratched, the chain always slipping, but it was mine, my only way home. Behind me, laughter. Rick leaned against the wall with Kenny and Mark, twirling something shiny around his finger. My bike key. Looking for this? I swallowed. Give it back. Relax. Borrowed it. Borrowed means forever, right? They walked off, laughing, leaving me standing there until the janitor chased me away. I had to walk home that day, 3 miles. By the time I got there, my legs burned and my eyes stung. The bike showed up 2 days later, dumped behind the gym. Tires flat, seat ripped, mud jammed into the gears. Rick just winked when I passed him in the hall. A week later, it was my locker. I opened it and something wet spilled onto my shoes. Trash. Old cafeteria food. Crumpled napkins. A half-open milk carton that exploded against the floor. The smell hit me so hard my stomach turned. Laughter echoed behind me. Rick stood a few lockers down, hands in his pockets, innocent face on. Wow, you live like this too? People covered their noses. Someone gagged. Daniel, clean that up right now. I tried to speak. It wasn't... No excuses. This is disgusting. I spent lunch scrubbing my locker while Rick walked past, tossing an empty wrapper into it as he went. Matches your personality. The worst one happened in class. We were returning from recess. I was tired, not paying attention, just glad to sit down. I turned, lined up with my desk, and sat. The chair vanished. I hit the floor hard. The room exploded with laughter. My palms stung. My back burned. My face felt like it was on fire. Rick was already sitting straight, hand over his mouth, pretending to be shocked. Whoa, you okay, Four Eyes? The teacher snapped around. Daniel, honestly, how many times have I told you to be careful? I didn't... My voice shook. The chair... Enough. You're always causing distractions. Detention after school. The laughter came again. Louder this time. Rick leaned back in his seat and whispered just loud enough for me to hear. Guess you're clumsy in everything you do. I stayed on the floor for a second longer than necessary, pretending to pick up my books. Because standing up meant letting them see my face. And Rick didn't need to steal my chair to knock me down. He already had. But it didn't stop there. One morning, Rick grabbed my glasses right off my face. Let's see how the nerd survives without his magic goggles. He snapped the frame clean in two, while the others roared with laughter. I stumbled half blind for the rest of the day, humiliated. Another time, Rick slipped a love note into my desk with the teacher's name signed at the bottom. When the teacher found it, she thought I was mocking her and gave me detention. The class howled as Rick winked at me from the back row. Once, he framed me for stealing chalk from the teacher's drawer by sneaking it into my backpack. When they found it, I got suspended for a week. Rick got a high five from Kenny. During gym class, he tripped me so hard on the basketball court, I scraped my face across the floor. When blood ran down my cheek, Rick shouted loud enough for the whole class to hear. "Somebody call an ambulance. Daniel's allergic to exercise." The laughter echoed for days. Every humiliation was a brand on my memory. I didn't forget. I couldn't. Fast forward 20 years. Life had been cruel to some, kind to others. But to me, life had been just. I studied hard. I joined the academy. I clawed my way up through grit, sweat, and nights spent studying while others partied. Now, here I sat, Captain Daniel Harris, head of Westbrook Police Station. The day Rick walked into my office wearing a fresh blue uniform, I thought I was hallucinating. He was older, sure, but I'd know that face anywhere. Still had the smug grin, though softened now by crow's feet. "Captain Harris, it's an honor, sir. I look forward to working under you." He said it without a flicker of recognition. Or maybe he knew. Maybe he remembered every punch, every shove, and thought time had erased the debt. But me? I remembered everything, and I intended to collect. At first, I played it subtle. "Officer Stanton, you'll be on late-night desk duty this week." His face dropped. Desk duty meant endless paperwork and no action, but he nodded. A week later, I had him doing traffic detail in the pouring rain while the others rotated warmer shifts. Then came the community outreach programs. Rick was the one handing out flyers at neighborhood meetings, wearing a bright yellow safety vest, while rookies fresh out of the academy got real patrol work. It didn't take long for whispers to start. "Cap, why's Stanton always stuck with the garbage work?" "Because every team needs someone dependable." Rick never complained. He just nodded and did the work. But I saw the frustration in his eyes. I saw him grit his teeth every time I passed him another thankless assignment. And every time, I remembered a 12-year-old me being shoved into lockers. But revenge is patient. And one day, opportunity came knocking. We'd been tracking a cartel ring that had started moving product through our city. Dangerous guys, men with money, guns, and zero mercy. Intelligence suggested they were holed up in a warehouse on the east side. Normally, I'd send a SWAT team or at least a well-armed unit. But that night, I looked at Rick's name on the roster. Stanton. "Sir? I need you to follow up on a lead. Possible activity at the east side docks. Low key. Just check it out. Report back. Don't engage." He hesitated. "Shouldn't we have backup for that?" "Just reconnaissance. You can handle it, right?" His pride wouldn't let him refuse. "Yes, sir." Hours later, I got the call. Shots fired. Officer down. Rick had walked into a hornet's nest. The cartel wasn't sleeping. They spotted him almost instantly, and though he got away with his life, he took a bullet in the leg. By the time our real team rolled in, the warehouse was empty. The cartel vanished into the night. When I visited him in the hospital, his face was pale, his leg wrapped thick with bandages. He looked up at me with something I'd never seen in his eyes before. Fear and guilt. "I know why you sent me there, Daniel." I raised my brows. "Oh?" "Enlighten me." "Because of school. Because of what I did to you. I haven't forgotten either. I was a cruel kid. I made your life hell, and maybe I deserve this." He swallowed hard. "I'm sorry. I really am. I was stupid, young, trying to look tough. I never thought about what it did to you, but you've had your revenge now, and I can't be a cop anymore. Not like this." For the first time, I didn't feel the rush of victory I'd expected. Watching him lying there, broken, begging for forgiveness. It wasn't sweet. It was hollow. "You think this is about schoolyard games? You think a limp erases what you did? Then what do you want from me?" I wanted you to know that no matter how far you run, your past has claws. And sometimes it catches up. He closed his eyes, tears streaking down his face. For the first time in 2 decades, Rick wasn't a bully. He was just a man who'd been beaten by life. But I didn't stop there. Weeks later, I filed an official report citing his reckless conduct, incompetence, and failure to follow proper procedure. My recommendation was termination. The board accepted it without question. And just like that, Rick was fired. Not given early retirement. Not allowed to bow out gracefully. Fired. His name, once smug in the hallways and cocky in the academy, was now blacklisted from the force. Word around the station was that he went into private security, limping on his cane, a shadow of the man who once laughed at me in the hallways. And me? I went back to my office, sat behind my desk, and looked at the badge on my chest. I'd won. But it didn't feel like triumph. It felt like closure. Still, sometimes when I walk past the mirror and see that badge gleam, I smile. Because fate had dealt the cards just right. I didn't need to throw punches. I didn't need to scream. All I had to do was wait. And now, here you are, listening to my story. Life's ironic, isn't it? The boy shoved into lockers became the boss. The bully ended up begging for forgiveness, then got fired. But hey, don't go sending bullies into cartel hideouts at home, okay? Leave that to me. If you like this story, don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button. Otherwise, I'll assign you desk duty for a month.